What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. Today we're looking over at Korea to see what's been really strong since the new patch hit, but also why and like whether they're going to work in our games as well. We're also super close to 500k subs now. I'm going to give away $500 of RP when we hit. I think that kind of fits, but anything else you think would be cool to do, like a special video or anything, let me know in the comments. Okay, so the list of the champions is in the description as always, but let's get into it. The first one, Fiddlesticks. He was buffed a few patches ago, like it's got a better fear range now. The drain is much better for clearing, like it refunds the cooldown if you kill the target, which makes a massive difference, I think. Matchups though I think are really interesting for these picks. Like he does really well against Ivern and also Zac and Hecarim picks like that. Like he's not really good against carry champions though, like Vi or Master Yi, which isn't much of a surprise really. Anything that can like burst him or interrupt his drain and stuff is going to be a pretty hard matchup for him to deal with, but Ivern is the big one. He is absolutely crushing it. I think it's the biggest reason why he's come back massively this patch. Like Ivern is by far the best jungler everywhere at the moment, and now Korea has actually found a counter pick for it that does really well in every single game. It's also kind of Abyssal. Like we haven't seen Fiddlesticks that much since the rework of Abyssal, so nobody has really thought about this that much, but actually 10% more bonus magic damage to his ultimate, his drain, his science and stuff is pretty nuts with the Zhonya's as well. The thing you might be surprised about though is he is the best jungler late game right now. If you can make a game go past 40 minutes, you stand a 65% chance in Korea to win the game. That is insane. His mid game is average, but like his late game is really good. It just plays into his team fight, right? But I honestly have always kind of thought Fiddle was good for solo queue. You have a fear, science, a drain, which are all kind of difficult to play against, but you have that solo carry potential. Like you ultimate over walls, you're very hard to play against, which is kind of perfect. Masteries and runes and stuff like Thunderlords is really the normal burst stuff, honestly. You just actually seem to be a good pick again. Velkoz is probably not the mid laner you expected to see in this video, but he's actually the one I expected this patch a little bit more. I know Velkoz is a mage, but he's actually kind of like an anti-mage. Like think Lux, Orianna, Syndra, anything like that, he crushes like 100%. He is best versus Ryze, Azir, Lux, Orianna, Syndra and stuff. He's weak versus the Fizz, Xerath, Echo, like slippery assassins, or with Xerath, he just nails him from range. As much as he is a poke champion, like that's kind of what you think of, it's really not how he wins games. Like mostly it's the true damage passive, the 3 spell thing. Like you have the knock up into combo, and that's a Lux level of burst damage for AoE as well. Build kind of follows on from that, like Morello, Ludens, Liandry's most of the time. The idea is to have a lot of AP and a lot of penetration together to power up your burst combo. Another weird thing actually is he's the best early game mid laner in Korea at the moment. Like before 35 minutes, he's actually the best. Like the true damage burst, I guess, is insane before you pick up some magic resist. The biggest difference though is we play him a lot for poke. Like I see them just sitting back and throwing their Qs out and stuff. They play him for the early game power, your combos, your team fights from range. Like he demolishes mages, and that is why he's here. Masteries wise, we have the Thunderlords with the burst. I'm not really surprised by that at all. Like that is really where his power is. Knock someone up and just one shot. Now with Amumu, most probably won't be surprised by this one, but actually I am, because Amumu is never played in Korea at all. This is only for lower ranks, by the way, gold and below over in Korea though. For us, I think honestly it's just really good everywhere. Korean junglers are really aggressive, okay? Even in bronze, they actually evade a ton. I'm not kidding. They are super aggressive. They really don't just sit back and farm and gank at all. That is where they normally catch the Amumu and punish him early. You're really good versus damage though in the jungle if they aren't super aggressive early, like Graves, Rengar, Kha'Zix for example. You're not great versus Shaco though, who dicks him early. The thing is, not only are you strong yourself, right, as a champion, but you make everyone else do more damage around you as well if they have magic damage. So you're a really good tank, a damaged team fighter and stuff. You just have to get to that team fight. Now Korea does one or two things for builds. They either go full tank or full damage. In my opinion, both work, but they don't really have a middle ground. It really depends what kind of player you are, but Runic Echoes into Liandry's and Raz is pretty beast at the moment though. No surprise, you're better mid game onwards actually win rate wise. Like early isn't terrible, but you do get invaded still, and that kind of like hurts your early game. They actually max their E into Q by the way as well, which is the more aggressive skill path. It's more damage and it halves the cooldown rank 5 of your Q as well, so you can use it more in team fights. Masteries, courage, actually Thunderlords is okay, AP runes. Even if you build damage, I still think it's worth having the courage though, because you're going to get that massive shield when you dive in and use your ult. Now Kalista is a monster again in Korea this patch, holding the #1 win rate at high elo, but even at lower ranks she's doing really well. She kind of, and by kind of I mean massively, takes a dump on any crit champion right now before they can power up and get their items. That is where she shines. She is a skill champion, she can solo carry, and she's just way too strong in the right hands, which is kind of like a perfect Korean champion. You're pretty weak against Draven though. Kog'Maw kind of outscales Gales, but she dicks on like Ezreal, Caitlyn, Jinx, Vayne, and stuff like that. She even goes even versus Lucian as well. Honestly, I think a lot of this is actually build stuff though. Like Blade is super strong at the moment. You have the synergy with Runins, which we talked about the other day, which is really good, but it's a mix of the damage and defense that is making the difference. Kalista can get away with doing double lifesteal or Xerath or more for like 3 items and still kill everyone. So she lifesteals a ton, does damage, kites like a beast, and if you finally get onto her, she's really hard to kill. Most of your win rate is coming from your early game, like you have a massive spike because of our lane phase, like it's so good with Fervor, but even late game, she's not that bad to be honest. Like you're definitely better earlier though, over there at least in Korea. If you think about it, crit champions rely mostly on autos for damage, right? Which is the same with Kalista, except Kalista has percentage damage from her W, her Ren to back her autos up. She almost always is going to win that out. Masteries Fervor, as we said, is so good. You stack it while stacking Ren and it buffs Ren's damage. Runes are basically the same, and by the way, they do max E into Q and not EW. Now we mentioned Xerath earlier, right? This one is not going to show up on stat websites because it's a bit up and down. So basically, I track these each day of the new patch myself manually. Xerath would spike up in silver one day, then gold in the next, if that makes sense. So overall, like a lot of websites show Plat Plus and he's not going to show there. I think he's super underrated in my opinion. His poke is great. It's his combo though that is insane. If you can stun, you W for max damage in the center and instant Q. That procs your Thun Lords. It does like 60% of a mage's health and it's crazy burst. Fizz and Talon do really suck to play against though, and they are getting more popular. Like you have no mobility, no protection really either, just a very short stun. Anything else though, mages like Rise, Velkoz, Twisted Fate, Orianna, Syndra and stuff, you do really well against them. You're basically able to out-trade these mages. You poke them down, you stun them if they run up to you and combo for a really good trade. As if I actually have to even mention the build, like they go full damage. Of course they do in Korea. Full damage from Morello, Luden's death cap. You're legit just stacking AP, poking them down from range and being way too much to handle. Remember, it's not just your crazy damage though, it's also how much you can spam this over and over because you have mana regen with your passive, so you're not going to run out of mana. Win rate, he's really good early, but even late game he can offer a crap ton of damage. Now in Korea at least, it's mostly early game, you get a lead then poke your way to victory, but for us it's going to be mid game and late game as well. His range is really good, right? His ultimate can 100% and 80 carry late game if you can hit them, but it's honestly that plus your combo early which can get you a lead in the lane phase. Masteries, you have Thun Lords to make that burst combo better, and you can also proc that from your ultimate if you hit 3 of them. The same with Ludens actually. Just a quick one on Blitzcrank. So if you've watched any of these, you know I'm always saying, like mentioning it, he's good in Korea, and that's true, but for the past 5 patches he's had the #1 win rate as a support. 5 patches is over 2 months by the way, and that's also while being played in 25% of games by the way. The reason is mostly because of these crit champions and squishy supports coming back and making him look really good. He is weak against champions like Malzahar or Braum, but how often do you really see them? He's strong against Misfortune, Lulu, Karma, Soraka, Sona, which are all these mages that are popular and defensive supports that just get boned. Even mid game, right, in the general meta, we're away from tanks, so you have more targets to hit with your hooks. Build wise, Redemption and Locket provide enough defense actually, which is a big thing this season specifically. Basically, like he has no defense in his kit. That's always been kind of the worst thing about Blitzcrank. You suck in team fights after your hook, but now that's not as true because of the items. Win rate is no real surprise though that he's #1 early game for a support. He's okay later, but he's not really anything special, right? It's mostly about getting that lead and crushing with the hooks over and over. Now Fizz is for both mid and top, but mid is doing much better at the moment. We've seen top come back a lot this patch with Trinity Force and tank afterwards. It's good, but AP Fizz has the perfect meta at the moment. Mages are everywhere right now. We don't have many assassins, not too many tanks with crowd control, which is absolute heaven. You can run around, you can one-shot these guys, and you can roam to other lanes as well. For matchups, Kassadin is harder for him, or stuff like Anivia, but the more common ones like Xerath or Orianna, Twisted Fate, Syndra, Katarina, they really don't stand much of a chance. Fizz's ultimate is pretty easy to dodge if you have a flash or a dash, but if not, you're pretty screwed, and once he gets ahead, it's kind of game over for you. It's the simplest playstyle, which is so effective. You ultimate, you blow their flash. The next ultimate they can't dodge, which is probably a kill, and then you rinse and repeat. Now build-wise, it's kind of interesting because they rush a Proto belt most of the time in Korea into Lichbane and then Zhonya's afterwards. Proto gives you like more burst, more mobility, plus when you finish Lichbane, you actually have more AP behind it. It's one of these weird things, but finishing it first isn't actually that efficient to be honest, because you have no AP backing up the ratio on it. Obviously, you're decent at snowballing early as Fizz, but you're still good the entire game actually. Like the fact your ultimate does so much damage means you can half health and 80 carry from massive range, jump in, jump out, stuff like that. A good Fizz is still going to be strong late game in my opinion, but this is more than anything just an anti-meta pick right now. When we get away from mages, or when the tank update comes in and tanks are everywhere, he might fall off a bit actually, but at the moment it's a perfect setup. Masteries, Stun Lords are really standard actually, but boost, by the way, is Sword Boost and Lucidity. We used to see this a while ago, but more cooldown reduction to get more ults is not something we see a lot over here anymore right now. So what a surprise, Nunu buffs and career is straight away there to jump on the hype train. We already said they love invading and being super annoying, and that is basically Nunu. He kind of shuts down any aggressive pick by snowballing and stealing their jungle. He counters the enemy AD with snowballs, the attack speed reduction, and buffs his own AD with attack speed and heals. Matchup wise, Xin and Master Yi are actually the bad matchups for Nunu right now, which is kind of ironic when you slow their attack speed and that's where they get their damage from, but they just outscale you. Rengar, Shaco, Hecarim, any aggressive matchup, basically you slow and you just ruin their entire day. You're way too tanky for those damage junglers to kill until super late game, so you just follow them around, you slow them, you steal their shit, and you leave after. Build wise is full tank though, Cinderhulk, Frozen Heart, Visage, Locket, and stuff. You're really building for cooldown reduction and utility. Honestly, you're the most legit overpowered pick in the game at the moment, I think. Not even a joke, like you have one of the best win rates up until 40 minutes into the game, where he falls off a bit afterwards, but up until 40, I would take that. I'm really not looking forward to when this comes over to our games, to be honest. Nunu is really strong again, and he's so hard to play against. The Masteries are also a big part of it though, like you have Stoneborn Pact, which is legit crazy on him. If you snowball the same target, you permanently apply this on them and you're healing your entire team. So thanks for watching until the very end. Throw the video a like and subscribe if you did enjoy it, but for now, let's go to the robots.